Alrighty. With UFC Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Hebos, what a great card. Finishing up, we move on to the real potatoes and meats, or meat and potatoes, however the fuck you say it. UFC 311. Now, this is what we've been waiting for. 5 fucking weeks we've been waiting for UFC, you son of a bitch. Yeah, I just want my UFC, man. That shit's so good. You know, just put it in my veins, you know? But, yeah. This is my picks and predictions, going over the fight card, making any sort of predictions in any way I see fit. I do this based off passion. I am not your financial advisor, as the great Moicano would say. The true lightweight GOAT. The true lightweight GOAT. We all know it. But as the great Moicano says, I'm not your financial advisor. This is sort of just based on passion. You know, I have passion for the sport. I love the sport. I love making picks and predictions, and I love discussing it with people on the internet. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyways, with that being said, did go positive last week, hoping to go positive this week, keeping a positive record all year, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Anyways, moving on. We have the early prelims. Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. Now, I do like the Carpenter. He is pretty good. He showcased he was definitely the real deal. Tagir is yapping all this shit on like Twitter about, I can't even remember who. He was talking about someone in featherweight, I want to say. I think he was actually shit talking Islam. Or Ilya, not Islam. Ilya. Buddy, stay in your weight class, alright? Go back to the cavern under the cliff, alright? You're not welcome around these parts, alright? But yeah, I actually think Clayton Carpenter gets this done. I think Tagir is like, he is like the bad version of whatever offspring they gave at the cliff, you know? He's just not fully there. And that's kind of how it goes. You know, Clayton Carpenter's really fucking good. So as long as Clayton Carpenter here doesn't get like too overzealous in terms of like, I'm going against a Dagestani, you know? I think as long as Clayton Carpenter keeps the confidence that he had in his last fight, he's whooping Tagir's ass. So I'm going with Clayton Carpenter. I think he'll actually find a submission here. Maybe even a TKO, like ground and pound. But I think he'll probably find a submission, maybe round 1. I'm gonna throw a fucking wild throw in there. I'm doing round 1, baby. I'm going round 1 Clayton Carpenter by submission. But yeah, I think Clayton's good. I think he's really good on the ground. I think he pushes a really fast pace, and I think he's like, as long as he's confident like he's been, he's gonna run in there and fucking run through Tagir. I don't think Tagir's really that good. We move on to Ricky Turcios versus Bernardo Sopaj. I really like Sopaj. Now, I know he had that really bad performance against Vinicius Oliveira. That wasn't his last performance, was it? It was, because he pulled out. But Ricky Turcios kind of sucks, to be fair. He kind of does suck. Yeah, he lost to Raul Rosas. He did look like shit in that fight, to be fair. He beat who? You know? And he lost to Ayman Zahabi. Yeah, I'm going to go with Sopaj. I think Sopaj just gassed out. I think he's young. I think he's improving. You know? And I think he's old enough to, like, not old enough, but he's more experienced now. He understands, hey, I need to not look at the fucking clock every 5 seconds in the final round while being gassed out. I think Bernardo's actually pretty good here. I think he's going to be the better striker 10 out of 10 times. And Ricky Turcios, I feel like, doesn't have a great chin. Just being honest. I feel like he's kind of got like a really... I think he's due for a chinning, you know, especially in bantamweight. I think Sopaj, you know, as long as he's not getting flying fucking kneed by a guy who's like 6 foot in bantamweight, I think he's chilling. So yeah, I'm going to go with Bernardo Sopaj. You know, I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Make sure I keep track of all my Sopaj. I'm going to make sure I keep track of all my picks and predictions here to get the record at the end. If you don't know, I'm going to start doing that now. Yeah, that's right. I'm becoming a full-time YouTuber. It is what it is. You know, feel free to hit that subscribe notification bell if you're looking for all things MMA content related or anything I'm passionate about. Anyways, moving on. We have Rinya Nakamura versus Muin Gafarov. If I'm not mistaken, isn't Rinya like one of these like Kai Asakura guys, right? Carlos Vera. Yeah. I think I'm remembering this guy correctly. He hasn't fought in a long time. maybe he's not who I'm thinking he is. I'm going to go with Muin Gafarov. I think Gafarov is really, really good, and I think people sleep on him, to be honest with you. And I'm not going off anyone picks. This is Saturday night right now. For me, it is currently 1/11/2025. So I'm not going based off looking at anybody else's picks. I'm literally going based off what I'm seeing, and I'm writing them down as we go, pretty much. So, yeah, I'm going with Muin Gafarov here. Gafarov's really good everywhere. He's the younger fighter. He does have the smaller reach, which I think he normally has the bigger reach, but he's just good. Like, his boxing's crisp, his takedown defense is pretty decent, and he can throw in a takedown here and there, kind of, I think, you know? But I don't think he's really going to have to worry. Rinya Nakamura, I think, is going to rely on his grappling a lot. I think when he was against Vera, he was, if I'm remembering correctly, he was kind of losing a little bit of the striking exchanges. I think Muin Gafarov, if he's in that same position, I think he whoops Rinya Nakamura's ass. So yeah, I'm going with Muin Gafarov. I think he's going to fraud check Rinya Nakamura. Anyways, moving on, we have Carol Rosa versus Aylin Perez. This is a women's fight. If you don't know, I do this high-tech method. Some people have the pick doctor. Some people have a high win rate doing some other method, like actually watching the fights. Heads is left, tails is right. But me personally, I do the coin flip. And the coin has spoken. Aylin Perez is going to win, and she's going to win because she is the well, you know, she has a better win rate, I guess. 29-28, don't really care. Moving on, we have Grant Dawson versus Diego Ferreira. Diego Ferreira is really good, if I'm remembering correctly. He just, yeah, Rebecca. Yeah, he knocked out Rebecca. Oh, Rebecca's so good. Oh, and he knocked out fucking Johnson. God, Diego Ferreira is so good. Oh, man. This is going to be a banger of a fight. However, I think, oh, man, it's a tough one. If there's a guy to chin Grant Dawson, I think Diego Ferreira would fucking do it. But Grant Dawson looked really good in his last performance. Oh, I'm leaning Grant Dawson. I'm going to go with Grant Dawson. I'm locking it in. Locking that shit in. Going with Grant Dawson. Only because, I think Grant Dawson learned that he needs to just, like, lock in. Stop worrying about the shit outside of the fight. Stop worrying about, like, this guy said this thing, blah, 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 like with Bobby Green. I think he just needs to lock in. And I think if he locks in, he's just going to probably go for the grappling. If I had to wager, I would not be surprised if Diego Ferreira ends up knocking out Grant Dawson via like a 1-2. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I'm going Grant Dawson. I think he's going to out-grapple. Probably get a nice, I want to say 30-27 decision. And I think it's going to look a lot like Elves Brenner versus the last guy he just fought. I'm blanking on the name, but I think he just retired. Oh, fuck, I can't remember his name. Oh, I feel so bad. But yeah, Elves Brenner's last fight. Was it Elves Brenner? No, it was, fuck, I'm mixing up fighters. Darren Elkins. That's who I'm thinking of. Darren Elkins. I think Diego Ferreira is going to look a lot like the Darren Elkins opponent in Darren Elkins' last fight. I think he's going to look good in a lot of moments, but I think Grant Dawson overall is going to have, like, you know, he's got 3 minutes of control time. Diego Ferreira's got, like, 1 extra strike or something like that. I think that's kind of what it's going to look like. And I could even see Grant Dawson going for a nice ground and pound here. Maybe latching in a submission. This is a hard one. I think I'm going to go with Grant Dawson by submission, actually. Yeah, I think Diego Ferreira, I can see Diego Ferreira maybe trying to pull a ghillie or something, going for something a little wild in terms of the submission attempt. Grant Dawson capitalizes, and he just gets the back some way, gets the submission in. I think a rear naked by Grant Dawson about to happen on Diego Ferreira. I recognize Diego Ferreira is very good, though. If you pick him, I'm not going to go against it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Diego just 1-2s down the pipe and just knocks out fucking Grant Dawson cold. Wouldn't be surprised. Moving on to the preliminaries, we have I went through everything, right? Holy shit. Wow. That felt fast. Anyways, prelims. Zachary Reese versus Cedric Dumas. I like both these fighters, and I think a lot of people shit on both these fighters. Zachary Reese notoriously got knocked out by Cody Brundage, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, via slam. Am I right in that? No, Julian Marquez. That's who it was. He was going for an armbar and just got slam KO'd. It is what it is. But yeah, looked really good in his last performance. Cedric Dumas, I feel like, gets a lot of hate, but I think he's actually pretty good. I mean, he beat Dennis Tululin. I know Tululin's shit, but, like, you know, he did beat him. You know, he didn't look that great, but he did beat him. You know what I mean? And he was knocked out by Ruziboev, but it was like he literally double eye poked. And then Cedric just went down because it was a double eye poke. I don't blame him for doing that, but you gotta remember this is MMA. Cheating's allowed whenever the ref wants. You know, basically whenever they have money on a fighter, they allow the other one to cheat. That's why John Jones gets away with it every single fight. But yeah, so Cedric Dumas is, I rate Cedric Dumas pretty highly. A lot higher than most. Maybe he's not, like, this is middleweight. This is another thing, like, middleweight is dog shit. I think these guys are actually, like, good, you know? Ooh, this is rough. This is very rough. I think I'm gonna go with... I'm gonna go with Zachary Reese. And the only reason why I'm gonna go with Zachary Reese is because I think Zachary Reese has really good grappling, and I think Cedric Dumas is a victim of thinking he's better at grappling than he is, and I think he might end up getting into a tricky situation where he gets submitted, just where Zachary Reese, like, excels. I think the last fight, Zachary Reese was like, okay, I'm not shooting a takedown because I just got slam fucking KO'd. This fight, I think he's, like, a little bit more confident. He's like, alright, just avoid getting slam KO'd, and I probably beat everyone on the ground in this low-level middleweight division, you know? Zachary Reese is also pretty tall. I think Cedric is also pretty tall. Yeah, Zachary's taller. But Cedric does have the reach advantage. I think Zachary Reese just has a little bit more everywhere. I think Dumas might have a little bit better striking technique, but I think Zachary Reese makes up for it in power. I do think Reese has a lot more power. I think he's got one of those sneaky powers a lot of middleweighters end up having. So I think I'm going to go with Zachary Reese here. Let me just lock that in. Zachary... Hard to forget, I guess, because it is technically my name. Anyways, Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. Yeah, I'm going to go with Zachary Reese. I'm going to go with submission, later rounds, second or third. Late second, middle to late third is where I'm going with the submission with Zachary Reese. Moving on, we have Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. I'm going to go with... This is another tough one, man. Fuck. These are, like, arguably two of the better heavyweights if we're looking at top 10. This is tough. This is a tough one. Sergey Spivak is notorious for being stupid because he doesn't do research on his fighters. But Jailton Almeida is notorious for being stupid because he doesn't know how to finish it on the ground. Tough. Spivak isn't that really strong. Jailton Almeida did kind of only get KO'd because it was elbows behind the ear. I'm going to go with Jailton Almeida. I'm not too confident in it. I'm going to go with Jailton Almeida. I'm going to go with Jailton Almeida. I think he's going to get it done. Probably by... I'm going to go with submission. Yeah, I'm going to go with submission. His takedowns aren't that great, but Sergey Spivak is, like, really dumb. Like, he is just dumb on the feet. Not in terms of striking, but, like, it's almost like he doesn't plan on stopping takedowns. It's weird. I don't know. Sergey Spivak needs to, like, do some more research on his fucking fighters and, like, really lock in. I know they're both kind of young, right? Yes, Sergey Spivak is younger, but I don't know. I think Spivak's definitely, I think, the more experienced guy in terms of, like, career, because I think Spivak had a really big amateur career, if I'm not mistaken. Jailton Almeida, I think, is also coming from boxing, but he's not really looking that great with his hands. I think he's gonna lock in and realize, all right, I need to like be cleaner with my technique. He is Brazilian. The grappling just comes to them, I guess. So I'm gonna go with Jolton Almeida. Not too confident in it. Probably like a 50-45 lean. But I'm gonna go with Jolton Almeida. I think he's gonna win. I almost want to say submission, but I'm gonna go 30-27. I think he's just gonna lay on Spivak at times. Spivak is just going to be able to not get submitted. I think that's how that goes. Anyways, moving on, Peyton Talbot versus Honey Barcelos. I'm going with Peyton Talbot, obviously. Honey Barcelos, I think, is like budget cut Edson Barbosa, but for bantamweight. And I think Peyton Talbot is just like, he's going to be strong enough to knock out Barcelos. So I think it's going to be like a few wobbly moments in round 1, and either early round 2 or late round 1 KO. For Peyton Talbot, and then we're gonna probably not see him for another year. Let me just lock this in real quick. Yeah, I'm going with Peyton Talbot for sure. Peyton Talbot. Yeah. Peyton Talbot's just better. Now, I don't think Peyton Talbot's this crazy champion level guy, but I just think he's better. You know, I just think at the end of the day, I think he's going to have the grappling advantage. I think he has the age advantage. I think he has the power advantage. He doesn't really have the experience advantage, but Honey Barcelos kind of thrives off surviving. You know, like if you can't really finish him but wobble him, I think Peyton Talbot's got enough power to just put him out. You know, I think that's how it goes. Moving on, Johnny Walker, Bogdan Guskov. I heard this fight was canceled. I'm not going to make a prediction. If I was, I would have went with Bogdan. But this is null and void. We're not really picking that because it is a canceled fight. If it does get rebooked or rescheduled or whatever, I'll do a pick-em prediction there. I'll probably still pick Bogdan just because I think Johnny Walker has zero chin and he is just he's like a one-strike fighter, run away, one strike, run away, head kick, run away. He doesn't really have combos. He's not really a boxer. He's not really a kickboxer. He's got like no technique behind the things he throws. In terms of like long-lasting combos. He has technique in terms of where he's throwing, not really on like, okay, I need to do more than just one strike. But yeah. Maybe they make Bogdan fight someone else on short notice. I probably won't be making a prediction there. But, you know, I'll be happy to watch the fight. I like Bogdan. Bogdan's good. Anyways, moving on. We have Kevin Holland, Reiner de Ritter. I hate this fight so much because I hate both of these fucking guys, man. And I hate them both for different reasons. Fuck, man. Reiner de Ritter sucks. Like, he really does suck. I know he was a one championship or PFL champion, either or. I don't really care. And I know he's held 2 belts. But, man, his striking is like watching a toddler learn for the first time. It is so bad. So bad. But Kevin Holland quits anytime something happens. You know? If Reiner de Ritter gets like an armbar going, or like any submission even close to being locked in, I think Kevin Holland will just quit. And Reiner de Ritter did GM3. But, man... Kevin Holland is just so shit, too. Kevin Holland has all the talent in the world, but he has none of the work ethic. Literally, whenever he starts losing, he'll just be like, oh, I lost round 1? I guess I'm just going to lose the rest of this fight. Or, oh, my rib popped. I'm going to scream and yell and act like I'm hurt. I get it, ribs popping really does hurt. But it's like, brother, you're in the middle of a fight. Fight, you fucking idiot. You know, be a TJ Dillashaw. Fucking, oh, arm popped out? Oh well, still gonna fight, you know? Like, come on, you're supposed to be like the guy from the street or whatever the fuck. You're supposed to be like that gangsta life or whatever, right? It kinda, after that Hamzat performance, it's just like, you know, Kevin Holland's reputation just went into the ground. But this is such like a, it's so winnable for Kevin Holland, man. It's so winnable, because Reiner de Ritter sucks. I'm going with Kevin Holland. I'm doing it. I'm going with Kevin Holland. I don't feel that. I feel confident. I'm like 70-30 here. Because Reiner de Ritter's striking is abhorrently bad. It is so bad. It is atrocious. It is actually some of the worst striking I think I've ever seen a human being on this planet have. And he didn't look like he had a great chin against GM3. Man. Yeah, I'm going with Kevin Holland. I don't want to, but I think Reiner de Ritter's just that shit at striking. You know? So I think as long as Kevin Holland doesn't get taken down, which if Reiner de Ritter wants to start like he did with GM3, keep it a standing match for round 1, I think Reiner de Ritter's getting slept. Pretty fast, I will say. But anyways, moving on. Beneil Dariush versus... I think Kevin Holland round 1 KO. I think that's how it goes. Moving on, Beneil Dariush versus the GOAT, Renato fucking Moicano. That's what I'm talking about, Money Moik. Now, Beneil Dariush is tough, but I think Renato Moicano is good enough to... Oh, man. Renato, I'm picking Renato for sure. I'm picking Renato, but I respect Beneil Dariush, you know? I know he got KO'd by Armin. I know he got KO'd by Oliveira. But, like, you have to be fast and powerful to knock out Beneil, you know? I think that's his weakness. You know? When you're really fast and you're really powerful, that's how you knock him out. Armin might not be the most powerful, but he's fast. Didn't see the strike coming, knocks him out. Charles Oliveira, I think, is pretty powerful, you know? He is a big dude. He's got that weird lengthy strength. Renato, I don't think, has the strength of Oliveira in terms of striking. And I don't think he's as fast as Armin when it comes to a combo like Armin did. But I think, like, this has to be a striking match if Beneil wants to win. And I think Renato's smart enough to be like, okay, now I shoot a takedown. Okay, he's trying to switch me. Okay, he's pretty good at switching. Okay, but I need to, you know, keep side control here. You know, as long as Renato Moicano doesn't get too risky with, like, the grappling exchanges and the scrambles, like trying to shoot for that back instantly and stuff. I think as long as Renato Moicano keeps it, like, pretty, I don't want to say safe, but, like, pretty not risking the, yeah, just pretty safe. You know, like, oh, you're in half guard, stay in half guard, try to slowly move a position here, you know, a little bit of like a Tatsuro Tairo, where it's like, slowly get to position, okay, now explode, get that position. Okay, now we're in the position, we'll fight, now we lock in that choke, now we get the armbar going, now we start going for like a calf slice or something. I think this fight is gonna end in a ground and pound by Renato Moicano. I just think Beneil just doesn't have it in him to really survive ground and pound from anyone, you know? And I think Renato Moicano is the best MMA ground and pound in the game in terms of he gets you in a jiu-jitsu position and then he starts laying the ground and pound in very advantageous ways where, like, his opponent can't really get up, you know? I think that's, like, a really big, like, people really miss that when they look at his game. He doesn't really shoot for submissions anymore. He is going for like a KO ground and pound situation, which, yeah. But that being said, we all know the great Renato Moicano, as good as he may be, does have that one known weakness, and it is just that right hook, you know? That right hook that sneaks through the guard and just fucking drops his ass, you know? It really does suck every time it lands. But I do think Renato Moicano is going to get this done. You know, same age, to be fair. Identical reach? What the fuck? But yeah, I think Renato's going to get this done. I think his takedowns are going to look clean. I think he's going to be slow, fast. Slow, fast, you know? And I think that's how Renato wins that. So I'm going Renato Moicano. That's my pick and prediction for the fight. I'm going Renato Moicano by ground and pound. Honestly, any round. You know, I could see it happen at any point. You know, might happen round 1, might happen round 3. I'm leaning towards a round 3. Moving on, we have Yuri Prochazka versus Jamahal Hill. The big debate that I think everyone has in terms of a 50-50 fight here. Yuri Prochazka, while he's almost lost every single fight, he always manages to get that finish going, unless it's Alex Poatan Pereira. Jamahal Hill looks great in every fight, unless he fights the great Paul Craig, the fraud-checking king himself. You know, he fraud-checked Bo Nickel, he fraud-checked Ankalaev, he's fraud-checked Jamahal Hill early in their careers, and now they've all become, like, bigger names, you know. Bo Nickel, you know, he'll eventually get to that top level, but right now we're looking at the Jamahal Hill, Magomed Ankalaevs. I think Jamahal Hill's good. I think Jamahal Hill gets this done, to be honest with you. I think he does get it done, and I think he gets it done via a 29-28 decision, because I think he actually will survive Yuri's, like, onslaught, and I think when Yuri's gonna get damaged now, I I know Yuri wants that trilogy. I think Yuri does have this problem now that I'm seeing in his last 2 fights. And I know it's like he's technically he's lost almost every fight until he gets the submission, you know? If you look at the Glover performances, I know the Glover is like 2-3 years old, but I mean, that's fair. That's not even that like far off, you know? That's not that long ago, right? Maybe it's 3 to 4 years. Regardless, it's not that long ago, right? Where they both fought Glover Teixeira for the belt. Yuri obviously was getting wobbled and everything by an old man, but ended up getting the comeback submission. Jamal Hill whooped Glover Teixeira's ass for almost 5 rounds clear. So I think Jamal Hill, you know, he's a bit of a Twitter goblin now, but I respect it. I love his crash outs. I love seeing it. But yeah, I think Jamal Hill's gonna knock out the out of Yuri Prochazka, as a great Jamal Hill would say. You know, I'm a fan of Jamal Hill. I like Jamal Hill. I think he's got one of the best chins for his how do I say this, guys? His ethnic background, we'll say. You know, I think he's got one of the best chins in the game for his sort of racial buff, we'll say. And I think he's a tough dude who will just get in the pocket and fucking bang, you know? And I think Yuri does the same, but he gets clipped way worse than Jamal, you know? And I know Jamal did get clipped by Alex. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about the highest level kickboxer in the fucking world knocking out people in the first round like a professional champion. Double belt in 2 divisions. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Yuri Prochazka, a guy who loses almost every fight until he wins. I think Jamal Hill this time is going to be able to land a bit more. And I think he will get, like, Yuri dropped once or twice. And I think Jamal Hill might even get dropped. This could be fight of the year right here. Just saying. Like, this could be endless. Just fucking warriors going at it back to back. And I think it'll be like a higher level version of Glover versus Jamal and a tightly packed 3-round fight. So I'm excited for this fight. I'm going Jamal Hill. I'm leaning 29-28, maybe a 30-27, but I think it'll be 29-28. I think Yuri will get one of the rounds based on knocking down Jamal Hill, and I think Jamal Hill is going to knock down Yuri in each other round at least once, you know? Or we're going to see like a Yuri wobble where it looks like he's about to get fucking knocked out by a butterfly touching his chin, you know? And Yuri, from what I've been seeing in his last 2 fights, just me personally, I'm a little newer to MMA, admittedly, but Yuri just looks like he's not trying to, like, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of, when he gets leg kicked, he's like, yes, You know, when he gets clipped, and he's not really throwing back instantly, you know? He's very much like, he's a little too patient, and I feel like you shouldn't be that patient with Jamal, you know? And I think in terms of grappling, I think Jamal's actually a better grappler, you know? So, yeah, I'm going with Jamal Hill. I think Jamal Hill gets it done, 29-28. Anyways, moving on. We have Merab, the completely natural Divishvashvili, versus Umar, the undeserving Nurmagomedov. Now, I'm going with Merab. I've had time to think about it, and I completely 100% understand why people are picking Umar. I think Merab's pace is just, like, unnatural for some reason. And while I do still stand on, I think Sean O'Malley did beat Merab Divishvili. I think he beat him clear, and I still don't understand. But I get why you might give it to Merab, but it's by no means a dominant decision. It's a 3-2 at best, Merab, and even then it was close in one of those rounds. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Hey, you know, call me delusional, whatever you want. It is what it is. Just my opinion. I do think Merab is just a freak of nature, and he will just out-cardio Umar. Merab has done it to Jose Aldo. Merab has done it to Sean O'Malley. Merab has done it to Peter Yan. Umar Nurmagomedov, other than being a Nurmagomedov, got nothing else that these other guys got, you know? If you want to say he's got the better grappling of them, sure. But Corey Sandhagen laid out a perfect blueprint on how to anti-grapple Umar Nurmagomedov. You know, Corey Sandhagen literally just didn't do enough. He would get hit by 3-4 jabs, and then he'd throw one jab back and think that that's enough to win him the round. Fucking idiot. Corey Sandhagen, you bastard. You know, my mental was on the rocks after you had that performance. But yeah, other than that, Umar hasn't really looked that impressive. He's gotten knocked out by Beksat Almakhan. If you don't know who that is, that's the guy who made his debut and knocked out Umar Nurmagomedov. Now say, sorry, my voice is going. Now you can say, well, he didn't get knocked out on his record. Actually, on his record, it said he beat him by decision. Actually, he dominated that fight. Actually, what happened was that Beksat literally knocked him out, and as soon as he woke up, he dove for legs, and the ref didn't stop the fight. It's a nut hugger. That's what they do, you know? Umar admitted that he got knocked out, so if you want to say, oh, this guy thinks he got knocked out, yeah. He said he got knocked out in the fight, in the post-fight interview. He got knocked out, you know? So if Beksat's knocking him out, I think anyone in the division can kind of knock him out. I think Umar doesn't have a great chin for his age, especially from being the Cliffs. I think all the Cliff Dwellers don't really have great chins. None of them have really had like impressive chins. I think it is because they train like all day, so their head is constantly like being banged on things. You know, that might also be why they get cauliflower ear and all that shit like way faster. Merab is also a cauliflower ear enjoyer, but his head is suffering from brain damage from the time he jumped into an ice fucking lake. But yeah, ever since he turned the ripe old age of 30, I don't even remember when he had that glow up, but he basically went from an average build to, he looks like the fucking Bane on roids right now, for a bantamweight, I'd say. And his pace is insane. He'll throw strikes out of the pocket, and when he's just throwing shit, you know, keep the same energy, guys. When he's throwing shit outside of the pocket, and the judges are scoring it like fucking 300, 400 strikes for Merab and 50 takedowns, but none of the takedowns landed, and none of the strikes were even close to Umar, but they'll write them down as attempted strikes. Keep the same energy when he does that, and he wins by decision via, oh, he dominated that fight because he had 300 strikes in 2 rounds, you know? Meanwhile, he landed maybe once on Umar. So I think Merab is just a fucking freak of nature, and he will just not gas out. And he will just hug this guy. He will keep him against the fence. Umar will try to go for a trip. Merab is just going to sit on this guy. I think that's all that's going to happen. I think Merab is also going to look bigger than Umar. Umar normally looks big. I think Merab's going to look bigger for some unknown reason, guys. An unknown reason. Anyways, moving on to the main event. We have Islam Oh shit, did I write that down? Jamhal, and then we have Merab, and then the other one is gonna be Islam Makhachev. Yeah, I'm going with Islam against Arman Tsarukyan. I have a personal bias. I fucking hate Arman Tsarukyan. It's just like something about him. It's the way he talks. He strikes me as like that transfer student who, like, you know, you ask for a pencil and he wants to throw a punch at your face. You know, he's like trying to make you flinch, but he doesn't actually throw the punch. He pisses me off. Something about him, you know, just his arrogance, I guess, you know. Arman Tsarukyan does not make the greatest decisions in fights, and I think that's what's gonna happen in this fight. I think this is gonna look a lot like Pantoja, Steve Erceg, where a lot of people are gonna be like, Arman Tsarukyan should have won, blah, 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 blah. But it is, in hindsight, clear Islam Makhachev, kind of like how it was clear Pantoja, but a lot of people don't want to accept that. I think it will just be, Islam always gets a caveat in a fight. I think this fight is just going to be one of those really close decisions. I think Arman's just going to make a bad decision here and there, and Islam's going to capitalize. And I think that's what's going to happen, you know? I know a lot of people like MMA Guru are picking Arman Tsarukyan. I think this is like one of those, this is my opinion. I think this is one of those Khalil Roundtree moments where some people are just like, man, I got a feeling about this one. Something about this one. Arman's looking really, really juicy at this spot. How? They lost the first fight. You can say, oh, Arman was young. So was Islam. And Islam is now a world champion, and he's beaten 2 pound-for-pound king. 2? He beat arguably one of the best lightweights, if you ask fucking Lucas Tracy, Dustin Poirier. And he's beat, like one of the best featherweights to ever walk the planet. I know it's featherweight, but, you know, he still beat him, twice. However, the second one I don't really count that much. Yeah, I'm just going with Islam. I think he's just a cleaner fighter. Striking looks good. You know, he kept it competitive with Dustin Poirier. I know it was 2-2 going into the 5th. And I think I was actually watching a Lucas Tracy video, and he was like, you know, you got to ask yourself, man, you know, how well do you think Dustin Poirier would do against Arman Tsarukyan? And like all these other questions, like, oh, do you think Arman does better than Dustin Poirier, you know, against Islam Makhachev? I think that was the question he was asking, like a rhetorical question. And I was thinking about it, and I kind of just think Dustin Poirier would actually beat Arman Tsarukyan. And I think Dustin Poirier right now still would do better against Islam than Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan got wobbled by Joaquim Silva. Are we forgetting this? He almost got fraud checked at a -900. Okay. And then also, last performance, I understand he knocked out, or no, it was the Charles Oliveira fight, which you could arguably give it to Charles. I don't really think it's a clear Charles win, but you could arguably give it to Charles. Yeah, I just think Arman's not that guy, you know? And I think Islam is just a pound-for-pound king for a reason. I think Islam's going to reign pound-for-pound for a little bit. And I do think he retires this year, to be honest with you. I think Mommy's probably going to tell him to retire once he goes up, maybe gets a second belt, and then just retires, I guess. He's already done enough to solidify his legacy's better than Khabib's. And I think he just runs through Arman. Not runs through, but I think it'll be a close fight. And I think Islam's going to be better everywhere, you know? Like, Arman's making mistakes in striking against, like, not great strikers on Joaquim Silva, you know? Arman's also not making great decisions, having his body go limp while Charles Oliveira is trying to lock in a submission. I get it, it's not locked in, but that's not a good look. That's really not a good look, you know? I think out of 10 times, 7 of those 10 times where he's going limp in that submission lock, judges are scoring that for his opponent. Not in terms of that's a submission, but they're going to score it as an attempt. You know, so I think if Arman ever does that against Islam trying to go for a dart choke or something, I could even see the ref calling it there. You know, I just think Arman makes bad decisions, you know, and while I do recognize that he is high level, I think in a prolonged fight, the longer it goes on, the less smart he is, I'd say, you know, and I don't think he has that much power. I know he knocked out Beneil. Beneil doesn't have a great chin, never has. Like, he wasn't even, like, he landed a clean axe kick on Charles Oliveira, and it didn't even phase Charles at all. He was landing good strikes on Charles, and it wasn't really phasing Charles either. I think Islam's got a better chin than Charles fucking Oliveira. Just being honest, right? So, I think Islam's probably going to win this. I think he wins a clean 3-2, however that is, 48-47 decision. You know, I think it's going to be clear, all 3 judges, 48-47. People are going to be like, actually, Arman Tsarukyan outlanded here. Well, he did cut the lower part of Islam's eye, you know. You just can't see it, or some, like, copium shit like that. But I think Islam's just going to win. I think we're going to see MMA Guru crash out when it happens. And I'll be there watching that live stream, pig boy. But yeah, anyways, if you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you for watching. This is a little bit of a longer one. It's a bit of a good card, you know. I'm happy to finally get the fucking card going. Oh, I just want to inject UFC into my veins. No drugs. I don't do drugs. But yeah, I'm just using that. I've been waiting for it, man. I've been dry. You know, I've just been waiting to get torqued for a card, you know. I'm finally torqued. Anyways, with all that being said, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. Feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'll be doing MMA content year-round, baby. I'll be around. I'll be building my empire. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you for watching. And as always, I hope you have a good day.